Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of Motor Mouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles, where we exhibit dozens, dare I say, dozens of cars, trucks, carriages, bicycles, all types of road vehicles. And Dan, we're standing here with a Pullman today, which is from the great state of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And what have you got to share with us about the Pullman? This Pullman, any Pullman.
As Kendra just mentioned, Pullmans are, or were, not are, were made in Pennsylvania. Made in New York, actually. So I'm going to be talking about them, but I'm going to preface that, you like that word? Double word score. Okay, preface it by saying a lot of visitors come in here and they see these Pullmans and they ask, what?
Is it the same people that made the trains?
Right. I'm glad you answered it that way. Yeah. Okay. We did not rehearse it. But that's what they say. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have heard of Pullman train cars that were really popular for like a century maybe. Yeah. And there's several of those cars down here.
There's a couple down the street.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, first of all, they aren't, but I figure this is a good topic to look at and tell you about the Pullman automobiles and talk about the Pullman trains. So we're going to start with the Pullman Company that made the train cars. It's out of Chicago, Illinois.
They were first.
Yeah, they were first. Okay. But something people usually don't know about the train car company, they made automobile bodies.
I did not know that.
Okay. From 1919 to 1936, they made automobile bodies. It was for the Moon car, they made 10,000 closed bodies in 1924, 1925. Okay.
Yeah.
Packard automobiles, they made open bodies from 1919 1925, sedans, 24 and 25. And I came across this 1920 to 22, they actually made 13,000 steel bodies for the Packard. So they weren't just hit and miss, they made a lot of them, okay?
Wow.
And that surprised me.
Yeah.
I knew they made bodies, but I thought they were custom bodies, and they were like big, big touring cars and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
I remember seeing a picture of one, that's it. Anyway, they made them for other smaller firms too. Also in 1919, here's the interesting fact of the day, one of them. They made 50,000 phonograph cabinets for Edison Phonograph Works. Okay.
Wood cabinets.
I don't know. I have a feeling they were steel.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
It just, my notes don't have that. Okay. So after 1925, they were in a smaller, just small bits and pieces of bodies and such. 1930, after several years of dormancy, they sold their auto-related body stuff to Bud, which was, this is 1930. Bud would not have been making bodies for vehicles in Philadelphia. It was all Detroit at that time. But, there's a connection, sort of. Anyway, we're going to go back a couple years. 1921, Standard Steel Car Company was involved with it. Standard Steel built box cars, and they merged with Pullman somewhere in there, okay? I can't remember, so I think there was a company called Pullman Standard. There we are. Anyway, 1921, they actually built Vim Motor Truck Company, which is a Philadelphia company making trucks, okay? Which we have one in storage.
We do.
Okay.
We just got it.
Yeah.
So we're working on getting it running as of this taping.
That's interesting there. Anyway, Pullman kept going. They ended up making trolley buses. They were involved with the trailer company for truck trailers. 1996, Tenneco actually had a buyout of Pullman for $300 million. And that kind of ended the Pullman thing, okay?
I didn't realize they were around that long.
Yeah, I didn't either. So that's the Pullman Company. Again, everybody knows about the train cars they made, which are very interesting because, you know, if you wanted to travel, you traveled in a Pullman and, you know, the berthing compartments and all that stuff. And they were pretty high end, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say luxurious. And I mean, I think people associated that with a really high end quality way to travel.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was that. But people don't realize they were into more stuff than that. And, you know, automobile bodies, truck bodies, trailers, just regular train box cars and such. Okay, now the Pullman Automobile Company, as we see two exhibits right here. York, Pennsylvania went from 1905 to 1917. They started out, actually before that, in 1903, they had a 6-wheel Pullman car. I believe somewhere you've talked about that before.
Yes.
Didn't do too good.
No, we have a photo of it on the sign that goes with the Pullman. So when you come in and visit, you can check out.
So the 6
how
wheels,
odd that is.
You got your 2 wheels here in the front, you got 2 wheels in the back, and you had 2 wheels in the middle. So I'm thinking if you hit a high spot, you kind of rock.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Yeah, a big problem. Okay, so that was that. It didn't do real good. He took the car all apart, and I say he is a gentleman called Albert Brummel. 1905, he built another car called a York because he didn't want to be associated with the Pullman. All right.
The 6-wheel car Pullman.
So
he didn't want to be
somewhere in there,
associated.
the formation of the York Motorcar Company, and somewhere in there, and I thought I had it here, but I don't know where the Pullman car name came back. You know, it started with the York, and I guess they switched to Pullman right away.
Yeah, York didn't last terribly long.
And so 1910 won the Fairmount Park road race down in Philadelphia. 1911 had 3 gold medals at a Russian exposition. And of course, I looked that up, and it was this big exposition. They won 3 medals. Okay,
big deal.
Then, because of that, and then success started, and they built more and more cars. And by 1915, they realized they couldn't fulfill all the orders, so now they're going downhill as far as being a company.
Yeah.
So it was a real struggle back then.
Yeah.
By 1915, also, you figured they were building Model T Fords, you know, like 1 million a year. So you're competing against that. Except this car looks better than a Model T.
It's a really pretty car.
I like this car.
It's a really pretty car.
Okay. 1915, they introduced another car under $1,000. And I guess that was to compete against the Model T Ford.
Yeah, I mean, the early ones are big and kind of high end like this one. And then they tried to, I guess, make a more compact or no frills car. Later on.
So bankruptcy came 1916, 1917, last cars were made. They formed another company, Pullman Motorcar Corporation in Delaware, which bought the Pullman Motorcar Company, which can be confusing, but that's how they worked. You know, new company there. 1917, the company's assets were sold, and a company in Philadelphia, which would be available if you had a Pullman, you could buy your parts from them and that sort of stuff. So the whole company in 1918 was sold to American Motor Parts Company in Indianapolis, and they were the ones who could buy parts and everything. So in 17, the Philadelphia company, Goldstein and Sons, they had the Pullman parts business, okay? 1918, American Motor Parts Company in Indianapolis, which then was kind of the final thing there. And there was a lot of companies. I've seen advertisements for Dragon, which is the car behind me. going
blue
to a
one.
company and doing the same thing. The Daniels, there's companies there that took advantage of other companies going out of business, and they'd buy all their stock and they'd continue on there. Total Pullman production, 15,000 cars around that, which surprises me.
Yeah.
Because there's
A
only
lot.
like 20 of them around now,
Yeah, there's not.
something like that.
You would think there'd be more around
Yeah.
if they made that many.
So, but anyway, that's the Pullman Company that made the train cars, the Pullman Company that made the cars, the automobiles, road cars, okay? Now, there were other Pullman cars. Did you know that?
No, I did
Okay.
not.
In 1908, excuse me, before we talk about that, let's talk about these two cars. We have a 1908 Pullman, a 20 horsepower one, and we have a 1915 Pullman, which is sitting outside of your camera, or outside your view there. So they're two we have on display. They're both gray, so when you come in and you see two gray cars next to each other, you're in Pullman land.
That's then.
That's it, yeah. And they're pretty neat. I like both of them. I like this one better, of course, okay? That's why we're in front of this one instead of that one. That's just real brief. The 1908 is supposedly the oldest restored and operational Pullman motor car in existence.
Wow.
And it says, and I think it says on the sign behind me, it's one of 21 remaining today.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so they're about the cars we have in our museum. Now let's talk about the other Pullman cars that are out there. Pullman Flyer, 1907, 1908.
Like a Thomas Flyer.
Out of Chicago. Pullman Motor Vehicle Company. Didn't make the cars, only sold them. So it was a different company that made them.
Put their
the
badge
Pullman
on them or
nameplate
something.
Yeah. The meritorious features of 50 of the world's best cars were combined in that
Meritorious.
Pullman. Meritorious. Okay. Mercedes-Benz had Pullman cars, and going from the 20s right up to now. And they're usually the luxury limousine. So they're using the Pullman name that started with the train cars. And that's about these Pullmans too. They use the Pullman train car and that luxury and quality and everything, they use that, okay? And this is in England, 1950s. The Humber chassis were constructed, they constructed a series of Pullman limousines. They had a range, actually started in 1930 to 54. And 1905, you're gonna see an advertisement for a Rainier. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Rainier?
It was claimed to be the Pullman of motor cars in 1908 advertising, right? So again, people come in here and they, ask about the Pullman cars versus the Pullman train cars, and they think they're the same company, but Pullman was kind of a generic term almost.
It became
Kleenex,
that, like Kleenex.
ping pong, for quality and luxury.
It's astounding to me that Pullman, the train car company, never filed suit against any of these people,
Right.
like especially this one. I mean, they really just took their name.
Yeah.
Because as you said, the guy that started it, his name wasn't Pullman, it
No.
was Broomall.
Yeah.
Can't argue anything. He
So
totally stole the name.
I'm thinking about this now, where he got the name Pullman, where the Pullman train company came from. Where did they come up with that name? I don't know. Could have been Paul Pullman. Okay.
Paul Pullman.
Now, this isn't really about Pullman. Well, it sort of is. But UPS, we all know United Parcel Service, you see their trucks all the time, the color of them.
What can Brown do for you?
You got it, okay.
Okay, where's our UPS sponsorship money for this spot?
Okay, their first package truck was red with a black Ford chassis.
Huh.
And it was advised to paint the second truck with a more conspicuous color. Yellow. So you went from black to yellow, all right? 3 years later, the founder of UPS started overseeing the company, the fleet there. He didn't want to use the color yellow. Now it was too conspicuous. So they decided to go to Pullman colors, okay? And I read, it doesn't say here, I didn't put this up, but I read the yellow would show the dirt too much. So that brown, and so that's how it ended up.
We don't have to wash our trucks as often.
And then I came across, I just saw this yesterday, I think. Actually, it was Pullman green, but the green was this olive color.
Okay.
And eventually, over the years, it changed to more of a brown, which UPS got, and so on and so forth. And they figured, okay, symbols of style and elegance in first-class travel. So not only did UPS sort of adopt that as having style and elegance, but cars did. And some other stuff here. Actually, UPS brown became a trademark color in 1998.
Oh.
So there you go.
You can trademark a color.
Third company to have a color trademark in the United States. What's the first one?
A company to trademark a color.
You can't guess it because there's so many companies.
I
and
know.
colors
Where do
out
you even
there.
begin?
Owens Corning.
Oh.
Pink.
Really?
The insulation, they used the Pink Panther and advertising, all that. They were the first. Okay. So anyway.
Who was the second?
Oh, well, Qualitex Green Blue, which
That was
I
anticlimactic.
don't even know who they are. So, yeah. But actually, we probably are all familiar with the
We
product.
probably are. We don't know it.
Yeah.
If they've done their job effectively.
Okay. There were other Pullman things out there. Okay. There was a Pullman cruiser boat by a company called Dunphy. Dunphy. You'll see a picture of that on your screen there. And it talks about Pullman berths and seats and stuff. And not only does it talk about luxury, but kind of a compactness in design because, the train cars you had to have that.
Yes, you did.
Okay. A Pullman camper. And you'll see a picture of that on your screen also. And this was like an insert for a truck, a pickup truck, you would put it. And you can see in the picture that the roof of this actually has like a double roof, but the top part actually just slides back and it's like a big canopy now. And that was like in the 50s and 60s. So I have two companies that made the same thing, Downey Sheet Metal Company in California or Fort Smith, Arkansas Camper Manufacturing Company. I have a feeling it's the same company because the pictures of both vehicles look exactly the same.
Yeah.
So same idea. Covered Wagon Company out of Michigan, 1936, had a Pullman-like compartment and beds. Aside from that, I don't know what it looked like. I didn't see any pictures or anything. Okay, there was a Pullman reclining seat made by the Field Manufacturing Company in Owasso, Michigan. You're going to see an advertisement of that. Convert the interior into a full-size couch. The interior of what? How about a Model T Ford? So
It's just what I need.
Let me quote this because the old advertising is kind of cool. And I don't know the date of this. It's I don't know.
It's a Model T.
Yeah, Model T. We'll say 1920. Sleep cozily in your Ford with genuine home comfort. No leaky tent. No cumbersome trailer. No ants or snakes. No crowded hotels. The new Pullman reclining seat makes your car instantly a substantial, full-width mattress bed, easily installed, handsome and durable. Saves its cost in hotel bills, $40.
Wow.
Splendid for touring, hunting, and fishing.
It's perfect.
So there you go. I've seen a lot of advertisements for things like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But only one called Pullman.
That's true. I've not run across the Pullman
And
one.
then this one has the thing about no ants or snakes. So that's always
That's a
good.
plus for me.
Yeah.
I don't want
Okay,
ants or
there was a
snakes in my
Pullman
bed.
kitchen, a small two-wall kitchen, sometimes a narrow hall. Think the Pullman train cars
Train car.
again. Okay, an architectural term for a long, narrow space within a structure. So it's not just an advertising thing; it's
okay.
an architectural
All
term.
right, almost like a galley kitchen.
Right.
Like,
Okay. Common in apartments, minimizing kitchen's impact on living space, which makes sense.
yeah.
And I left the best one for last here.
Oh boy.
European bread makers began using square-lidded pans in the early 18th century to minimize crust. So that was 1700s, right? Early 1700s. So 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Until the train cars came along. Pullman loaf, a rectangular loaf of white bread baked in a long, narrow-lidded pan, also called the sandwich loaf or pan bread. Okay. Railroad service pioneer George Pullman, there's the name.
All right.
Okay.
Good old
chose
George.
the loaf for efficiency reasons. 3 Pullman loaves occupied the same space as 2 standard round-top loaves. So there you go. Maximizing the use of space in a small Pullman kitchen. So,
I want to see George in the kitchen, but measuring all this
I guess,
out.
they analyze all this. How
Yeah,
can we make things
save
more
space.
efficiently? So, yeah. So anyway, next time you, the viewer, come and visit our museum with friends, you can just regale them with all this knowledge about Pullman everything.
And then I'll wonder why George didn't sue the pants off all these people
Right.
and get some money to stave off bankruptcy.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Dan.
You're
And
welcome.
we hope you visit us. We're open 7 days a week, 9:30 to 4 here at the Boyertown Museum. Come see the Pullmans and all the other really cool cars that we have here. Thanks, everyone.